Now that you're acquainted with conditional rules and their parts, sufficient and necessary conditions, we're ready to look at the first of several deductive inferences that you're going to be doing over and over again on the LSAT. And when I say a deductive inference, I mean you're taking some information and you're inferring something new out of it, much the way a math formula would work. You're deducing a new piece of information out of what you have. If that sounds like it's going to be complicated, fortunately, it's not. Taken alone, each of these inferences is quite easy to work with. In fact, there's something you already know and use in your daily speech. We just need you to have the terminology down, know that it's a valid move that you can do, and be confident making it. So that's what we're working on. To that end, let's look at an example of the Modus Ponens inference. Okay, here we have a basic conditional statement, and it just tells us that if Jones goes to this party, Sullivan's going to go too. Those two things are connected, right? Up here we have Jones going to the party. That's the sufficient condition. Sullivan will go too is the necessary condition that necessarily happens if Jones goes, right? So by itself, that rule just sits there. It doesn't do anything. But it does tell us what will occur if certain other conditions are met. So let's bring in that additional piece of information that tells us that one of these conditions does occur. Now let's say we know, boom, that Jones is in fact going to this party. Well, this tells us that that sufficient condition is in fact occurring. And then the rule acts like a little machine and tells us, well, Sullivan is going to go to the party too. So here was our conditional rule. This statement acts like a trigger for the rule. It tells us that the sufficient condition is going to occur. And then that allows us to make the inference that Sullivan will be going to the party as well. That necessary condition will occur as well. So if it's true that Jones is going to the party, and boom, we're told it is true, then it's true that Sullivan will go to the party as well. So again, this is a pretty natural assumption. I think all of you, if you had these two pieces of information and were going to be asked, okay, what's true from that, you would know Sullivan's going to go to the party. We just want to make sure that you have a name to call this inference, modus ponens, what happens when the first part of the conditional statement is triggered, the sufficient condition is triggered, then you can infer that the necessary condition is triggered as well. If you wanted to put this in diagram form, that'd be really simple too. Jones party, then Sullivan party, Jones party, therefore Sullivan party. Sorry for winding out what's such a simple inference really into such a long lesson, but I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable with this. Make sure you read the text lesson and do the quick quiz on a few inferences so you can make them on your own, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next inference.